ni kama The widening disparities between the rich and the rest is as alarming as its impact. Less than 0.1% of the population in Kenya have more than 99.9%. That sounds like an economic quagmire on a face value. So on Newweek, we put the faces to the statistics. A very good morning and welcome to Newweek. I'm Abubakar Abdullahi, and as always, remember you can be a part of this discussion. Tweet us at TV47KE. Remember the hashtag to use is TV47Newweek. Welcome to the broadcast. And more than the discussions that we'll be having here, our reporters are covering stories of impact and interest to you, the viewer, and equally to us. We'll bring you the live pictures as soon as we get them. Let me introduce my guest in studio to me. To my immediate left is Joshua Okello, a lecturer at Daystar University, an economist as well. Kendi Kamanja is the lady in the middle, the founder, Clean My Neighborhood. And to my far right is Peter Kamodho, who is the co-convener of the Summit Leaders Summit, the Summer Leaders Summit. Yeah. Many thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for making time for us. Mwalimu, let me start with you as an economist. When Oxfam International says, and I quote, the gap between the rich and the poorest has reached extreme levels in Kenya, less than 0.1% of the population, which is the equivalent of 8,300 people, own as much wealth as the rest, which is 99.9%, accounting for 44 million people. On an economic perspective, what does this mean?
That means a majority of people are left without means of livelihood. And it also means that it impacts on so many things, things like coexistence, things like peace, things like tolerance, and general tranquility that you always see come up during political contest when it comes to the peak. So there's a lot of disquiet among the general population. They have nothing to hope for, which is really not very good for us.
Yeah. And when a population as high as 99.9%, which is the equivalent of almost 100% living in such poverty levels, is that a failure in economics? I just talked of the equivalence of an economic quagmire.
It's failure in certain fundamentals, because any good system must carry everybody along. And in simple terms, we call there must be minimum guarantees. We cannot all be equal, but equity is possible. That means we are all unique in our way. But if you practice equity, everybody will find themselves a place in the system. And that's where something is missing.
Let me bring Kendi to the discussion. The equity that Joshua talks of, to many sounds impressive. To someone who is not dealing with the numbers, that will be ideal. Is it too ideal?
Yes. I think the politics and the elections really bring us to this situation. And everyone wanting, all of us I have had conversation with people, and the difference between us, most of us, and the leaders is the lack of opportunity to do the same thing. So when you get an opportunity, you grab everything and leave nothing to the rest of the population.
And is this having an impact on the rest?
Oh yeah, definitely a big impact on the rest, yes. And the quality of life definitely is affected.
Peter, let me get your thoughts as well. When the numbers, indices, reports show such percentages, this surely means as though there is a system failure, is it?
What I can say is that we are so much into statistics, and statistics involves people. If we come out from statistics and start thinking that when we are saying that people are going hungry, or we are saying 50% of the population is going hungry, we are talking about people, people who are going without food. When we are talking about, like for instance, that report of KNBC, Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, it said that less than 10,000 people control over 99% of the wealth in this country. Those are statistics, yes, on one side. But we are also saying that there are many people that are suffering out there. Some people that are going hungry out there. What is the intervention that is coming from maybe the religious people, from the political angle, from the leadership class, away from the statistics, and we start having the empathy to those people that are suffering.
But you agree that these statistics are people behind the faces,
Yes.
and these faces are people who are suffering?
Yes.
And you rightfully quote the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics,
Yes.
which says 62% of the Kenya's national wealth
Yeah.
is controlled by less than 10%.
Yeah.
Only from an economic point of view,
Yes.
when the country's wealth is controlled by 10,000 people, according to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, what kind of a danger economically does that pose, if at all it does?
First, you will not grow. But that statistics also coincide with the world statistics, because there's 1% in the world also control resources of over there. They have 50%, half of the world is controlled by 75 people. So then it's not unique that it's the entire world that is set up like that. Now, the challenge with this is the economic systems we pursue. There are two political economic thoughts. One is the capitalism, where it is the individual, me, myself, and I. And the capitalist view says that if you work hard and you are smart, and it should show in what you get. And the markets, that means the systems will ensure that the resources are allocated through one process called the price. Like the price will decide who gets what. So we don't need police to tell you can't take tea in Serena every day. Your pocket will just say that you can't go there. That's the economic system that the Western kind of system, which the world has embraced. We also have the opposite, which is the communism, which was somehow defeated when Russia fell, the old Russia and
the Soviet Union, the end of the Soviet Union.
Yeah, so you find that capitalism has a problem. It focuses so much on the individual, and then this individual capture resources, and these individuals work with the political systems, and then everybody else is left out. And that's how we end up with that kind of statistics.
And what is the responsibility of everybody else who is left out?
It is the leadership. Any good leadership, if you give minimum guarantees, the Reverend will tell you that everybody has a purpose. You are born with a purpose. Everybody has something to bring. Everybody has something that can make them succeed. You only need an enabling system, and you'll pick that up, and it will bring you the resources you need in terms of wealth or job or what. If the system does not allow that to happen very easily or in a free and fair way, then we end up where we find ourselves.
Fair enough. Kendi, even in the poverty, even in the inequality, the statistics vary as well. According to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, the northern part of the country has the lowest income inequality. For instance, Turkana 0.28%, Wajir 0.321%, Mandera 0.332%. One will think even in poverty, we are choosing on who to be poorer than the other.
Yes.
Is it so?
Oh yes, because look at Kibera and look at Huruma and all those places. There's some guy I met, and he's from Kibera, and he was talking about him having some rentals in Kibera, and he lives in Kibera. And there's someone else still in that Kibera who can't afford even a toilet. I mean, they put their thing in the paper bags and throw in the bush or whatever it is that they dump. Yes, the levels of poverty really also are different for different
Peter, let me ask you this. You are from the religious stand. What is the role of religious societies or even organizations in as far as dealing with poverty is concerned?
I believe we have a very big role, and that's why, for instance, because I come from MLife Foundation, we have a lot of good programs that we are coming up with, especially maybe even on training people on leadership. And also, as I want to pick up from what some of our colleagues are saying here, that the religious people also in our country, they should intervene in many areas in our country, and we should not be just there as just giving the word of God without even caring for the plight of the people that we are leading. And I believe that we have a very big role to play, not just on the pulpit, but also to the very least in the society.
And let's get to the nitty-gritties of this role, because everyone often in this debate say everyone has a role. What role does the religious people have?
Okay, I'm saying, for instance, I'm saying that we can intervene by, of course, religion, even in history. I was doing some research the other day, and I saw that even the education system all over the world was started by religious people.
Yes.
And
Oxford, which is a worldwide celebrated university,
of course.
started off as a Bible study group.
Yeah,
Yes.
and you know that even the Puritans, when they went to America and they started their program of training the children, it was like a Sunday school. They wanted to talk about God. And then the political class picked up from there, the business people picked up from there and set up the education system. So that's one area, education, by maybe training the people on the values, training speaking to the people about integrity, about good morals. Those are the kind of intervention we can do as religious people.
Fair enough, Peter. Isn't it not the case then, if not the contradiction, that many a times we see the flashy lifestyle of preachers, of religious leaders, rather than the folks who constitute 90.9%?
Let me say, we like focusing so much on about 1 percentage point of such kind of preachers, but we also don't want to see the other face of it. We have over 99% of preachers who go even angry when they are intervening in the lives of the people. That's only 1% of the people who have maybe a bad, we can say a bad apple, or we call it a rotten egg, and it's a very small percentage. So we shouldn't say that they are living in luxury, they are living flashy lifestyle. Not all of them are doing so.
But that's what many a times is depicted.
Yeah, because people only want to pick the bad side of religion. They don't want to pick the good side of it. Okay? So if you only concentrate on the bad side of religion, we'll always come here and start accusing religion of bringing failure. We should be also celebrating many gains. The religion, in fact, even in our country, back in 1844, education system was started by religious people. So what are we saying, that the religious people have failed the country? Okay, of course, I want to agree with you that there are some of them that are bad, and they are not doing the right thing. But that's a very small percentage compared with a big percentage that are intervening in people's lives.
And just to be fair to religious people, I have not on this show said that they are the failures. Kendi, let me get your thoughts on the role of education and as far as addressing inequality is concerned. How can education be used to address inequality?
Actually, now that you speak of education, I run another foundation for Talk Dyslexia, because I have dyslexia myself, and have seen it's not addressed. Many of the Kenyans don't know what dyslexia is. And if you're from a poor family, for sure, and dyslexia is having difficulties in learning, so definitely you'll drop out of school most of the time, because there's no one really to tell you there's nothing wrong, so we support you and you go through education. But if you have money, you go to international schools, and dyslexia is taken care of and you go through school. So education for sure now plays a role. Because now if you have dyslexia or any other learning condition and you're not able to get support from the government, what happens to you? Then you don't reach your full potential. Most of the time you drop out of school, or you involve yourself in crime, you find yourself in jail, or trying to make ends meet. Yeah, so the education has a big role to play in the poverty
as far
levels.
as fair enough.
Yeah.
Joshua, when we talk of poverty, we often as though go muted on the riches on the other side. I'm yet to understand from an economic point of view again as to why statistics show that the number of Kenyan millionaires in the next 10 years will grow by 80%. Yet, we are talking of 99.9% of people living in poverty.
There are three lies. Statistics say to be one of them. But you see now, if you're saying 99% are poor and 1% are rich, so we are talking about 40,400, 1% of 48 million, and we are there about. Out of that 48, about the youth is about 60 to 70%. The people who work in Kenya are about 16 million. The people who are in formal employment are about 2.8 million. So if you are saying 2.8 million are going to grow by what percentage? 40 or whatever percentage, you are just saying that about 3 million, by which time we shall be 50 million. So that's why you find you can't understand the statistics. Those who have are quite very minimal. So even if they grow 100-fold, still the impact will be very small.
And you say it's minimal because, and again I'm quoting Oxfam International, a respected research firm in as far as economics and various topics are concerned. When you say it's minimal, I agree with you because the numbers they show is an addition of 7,500 new millionaires.
Yes, and out of what? You know, we are 48, 16 work, so they depend, 32 million depend on others. And that's why you can't get out of poverty. If we are fitting 32 million, we are 48, those who work formal or informally are 16. Those who have formal employment are 2.8 million. Out of that 2.8, 800,000 is the government. So we remain 1.7. People like you, me, feeding the rest of the population. With that kind of dependency ratio, how can you get out of poverty? So we need another economic solution.
Let me flip that question. How should we then get out of poverty?
The first thing is, like my sister said, education. I'm happy the government coming up with an education system that picks out what is best in you than standardization. We all went through standardization. I hope you wore a tie when you didn't know how to walk properly, to going to school. What was that purpose of that tie? Training you to be an employee already, not bringing out maybe you are football and you have to forget about that. You're told if you can't get an A, you are good for nothing. The system only wants employees who are honest and who are working faithfully, building the economy for the 1%. So the government, at least through stakeholders, advocacy, came up with now these 3 new systems. Bring out the best in everybody. If you're a journalist, let's focus on that. If you're a footballer, let's focus on that. If you do that, poverty will go down because everybody will have something to contribute and that will bring money. The other challenge, if you have something to contribute, will there be systems to support it so that money should come to you whether you are educated or not? Because only in Kenya people want a degree. In other countries, if you go to a diploma like in Germany, you're a plumber, you'll make all the money you need for the rest of your life because the system supports that. You'll get jobs, you'll get contracts, you'll get, and you'll work. So
irrespective of how these jobs are rated in society? Yes,
the rating is also political because why would you wear a tie and you don't have fare? You get a person downtown that has nothing and he has all the money. So it's the marketing and the perception we created. Are your parent calling your family business a side hustle and working for somebody is the real hustle? You know, it's opposite. It's a twisted thinking. You should focus on the business than your job. So education is number 1. Number 2, the economic policies. I say this is the minimum guarantees. There are things if you work in a country, everybody is pulled up. If roads are working, you can transport your food from Western to Nairobi without a problem. If services are working, like Huduma Center, you don't have to bribe. That means everybody will have to get into the system. If water is working, housing is working, the economy, the resilience in the population will just come out, and poverty will be a history.
Fair enough. We'll talk of the economic policies a little bit later. I still have an hour plus to go. Candy, let me get to you. Joshua talks of specialization, that if you are talented in an area, you do that.
Yeah.
How will that help?
Actually, I can give an example. I did BCom Finance and I got a second upper. And I was a banker for 10 years. But I was so frustrated with the bank because of my challenges with dyslexia. Yet I didn't know it was dyslexia. I got out of the bank after 10 years and I started doing what I actually enjoyed doing as an hobby, which was interior designing and landscaping. And when I tell people that I was a banker and now I'm doing interior designing, they look at me and wonder, really, why did you do finance for them to go start decorating people's houses? And the way they look at it is from a very, low-level job. But I can tell you, I do it in, I have passion about the job. I enjoy doing it, and it's putting food in my table and it's educating my children, and I'm happy about it. So the change of mindset is, I think, what we need to change, and people will enjoy their specialities and make money and make a living out of it.
Fair enough. Peter, you are the co-convener of Summer Leaders Summit. Yeah. Let's talk of leadership in addressing income inequality or inequality in general.
I'm happy that you brought about that because it was running in my mind when my sister was talking about change of mindset and my brother was talking about policy. And I say that most of the things that are happening in this country, it stands and falls on leadership and also on the citizen choosing bad leaders. Because at the end of the day, I believe if we have the right leadership and people that are passionate to bring change to the people, we don't need a century to bring change. For instance, there is this president called Thomas Sankara. I believe he was a Burkina Faso president. Within 3 years, he had intervened in that country and brought better healthcare, better agricultural policies. We have some leaders we are putting up in leadership for 10 years, and they leave that seat without doing anything to the people. The only thing they do is to enrich themselves, and people are out there clapping for them when they're enriching themselves. I believe everything stands and falls in leadership. If we don't get it right on leaders, the country will continue going down. The inequality will continue rising. And that is also the same thing also on our religious side. When we don't get it right on leadership, things will continue going down. And so I believe, as you are saying, the good leadership, for instance, we will be having that conference tomorrow, the summit leadership, where I'm a co-convener. And I believe one of the things we want to speak about is the policies talking about the change of mindset, transformational thinking. Because if we calculate those things from the very early age of the youth, of the people in school, we can be able to nurture good leaders who will be passionate for change. What I don't get it in this country at all, is passionate leadership to change. They are there to make fame, to make name for themselves. I've never found one leader in this country, I'm sorry to say so, who is passionate to change and change the lives of the people. And that is
despite these offices changing hands.
Imagine there are many positions in this country, from the county level to the presidency and all that. I don't see it. Okay, they have good policies on the paper. They have good rhetoric on the television. But you see, what can rhetoric do to bring down the inequality?
Fair enough. To someone who is watching this show and is listening patiently to what you are saying, how would a good leader solve an inequality that is affecting, for instance, say me, how will a good leader come into office solve this?
Like my brother said about policy. So, you know, some of the policies is what that is promoting inequalities. For instance, the other day, I had a story. There was one of the television station, and I won't be mentioning it here. But they had a good program when they were visiting to the prison and all that. And they found some people who have been incarcerated there because of doubting. Doubting, imagine. And some of the laws that we are bringing here, and we are condemning some people who can be very effective and aspiring growth in our country, we are condemning them to 6 months doubting, because of doubting. You see, some of these things, it requires leaders who will look critically into these laws, into these policies, and see how they are affecting the people on the ground. And not only that, policies that are not only tailored to support the rich, but also to those underprivileged people in the society. So what I'm saying is, if you have passionate leaders, it means a lot.
Fair enough. Joshua, there are those who equally hold a radical position in some quarters and say that people are poor because they are lazy and they want to be poor.
Yes, that's a capitalist thinking. And the capitalist thinking is that it believes on the individual, the system, that if you're smart and you're able to do it, you should be given opportunity to do it. And if people are not smart, then it's their problem. And we are not all equal, but if you achieve equity, the system should be such a way that everybody is carried along. So that thinking is a current thinking that somebody talked about it. One Harvard professor, that we're in a society whereby everything is up for sale. And if we run a society in a way that we think everything should be up for sale, including all manner of things, even love, then we will miss fundamentals that makes us what human is all about.
And on that specific point, in a society where the market determines a lot of things, the fluctuations of the market determine a lot of things, how would one expect that society builds up everyone without leaving anyone behind?
Leadership, a transformational leadership, a leadership that has a vision, a leadership that knows that not all my children are equal. Like a parent, you know your children. They have all different abilities. You know, this one is already a success case. This one, I need to work with him. So you have to practice all that and make sure that you go for, even as a teacher, you teach the student who doesn't know anything. That's the one you teach. If you teach him, the rest of the students are fine in class. The one who is already bored because you already think you are boring, leave him alone. So if you, it's a leadership. Minimum guarantees is what I still say. Make basic things work. Let them have a house, let them have guaranteed schooling, let them have guaranteed water, healthcare. Now, if you show that you are smarter, then the system should also make you be better than everybody else, but in a manner that is equitable.
One who is
that's
listening to
the,
your
the model.
recommendations, one who is listening to your recommendations will easily say that's more of a socialist view.
No. Minimum guarantees is converging everywhere in the world. You hear politics, like in the US, the election is coming next year. Healthcare is a big issue. Infrastructure is a big issue. Trade is a big issue. Why? Because these are what we call minimum guarantees. If they work, then those who can pursue self-interest beyond what is the standard for everybody will also be allowed. So you don't kill that individual enterprise. At the same time, you don't punish those who seem not to have an idea, because they are all citizens. They have tax potential to pay, which makes the government happy.
Fair enough. Kendi, Joshua here talks of ideas elsewhere that often are what determines whether one gets to office, be it the healthcare, be it the positions
Even
of
our politicians will do it. You'll see the packages they bring, some things.
But is there a disconnect that these packages are brought, but the reality is different?
Definitely. Like, I'll give an example of what I'm trying to do currently with the clean up my neighborhood. Now, we have leaders and we have people who've been given some allowance for those services to be done. I had a conversation with one of them, and what she told me was, if I try to do this, I'm taking away someone's job. I'm going to expose them, because I think this money is being channeled elsewhere. Now, this money was meant to probably pay someone to do that job. And that someone gets money that will take care of little things for themselves here and there. But then it channeled to one pocket. So, of course, those are some of the things that really affect us, because it goes to one pocket. You're supposed to pay like 10 probably cleaners, but those 10 cleaners are nowhere. So all this money goes to one person. So how are we going to achieve anything if we have policies, yes, but they're never followed?
Fair enough. And on that point, where the three of you are in unison on leadership, we are taking a short break. It's time for us to take a short break here on Newweek. Remember, you can be part of this discussion. Tweet us at TV47KE. The hashtag to use is TV47 Newweek. We'll be back after this break.
Uhuru, sheria na haki ni vipengee muhimu katika maisha ya kila siku.
Na iwapo serikali itafanikiwa katika makuzi ya jamii iliyo na mwelekeo, basi sharti sheria hizo zifuatwe.
Na kwa sababu sheria ni msumeno hukata mbele na nyuma, ni vyema kufahamu tungo hizi.
Siku zote jambo usilolijua ni kama usiku wa giza.
Ungana nami Clifford Ndubi,
nami Andrine Kilemi,
kila siku ya Jumatatu saa 1 jioni, tukidonoa na kuchanganua sheria hizi
zinazotudhibiti.
Welcome back to Newweek, and in case you are just joining us now, remember the topic of discussion is debating inequality. Your voice matters, so tweet us, call us on the number that will appear on your screen. Share with us your thoughts. Let's continue with this discussion. Just a reminder of who my guests are: Joshua Okello, Kendi Kamanja, and Peter Kamodo. Ladies and gentlemen, we continue with this discussion. Before we went for a break, and we went for a break on a very impressive point where you guys agreed that it is leadership. More than the leadership, what else will it take to address such income inequality or even inequality in general?
Okay, let me take that. I believe also, as we have said, let me come back to that point of good policies. Okay, because now from leaders, now those who are policy makers and those people who make laws, if we get it right there, we can be able to address myriad of challenges that we have. Okay, I'm not saying we don't have good policies. What I'm also concerned is about, as I said earlier on, is rhetoric. Okay, we talk about many things that we don't follow through. For instance, if I digress just a bit, there's some 2 years ago, I had one of our top leaders saying that when people go back, when people complete their secondary school, they can get their result even if they have fees balance. And one of my closest relatives, he has stayed for 3 years, going back to the same school to get that result slip, and they can't give her. See? So I believe we get good policy, we also do good implementation of it, we follow through of what we are saying, and that way we can get it right.
Fair enough. Joshua, when Treasury paints a rosy picture of a growing economy, yet we are talking of statistics such as such, in as far as poverty levels are concerned, is there a disconnect? Do you read a disconnect? That on one hand the economy is growing, on the other hand you're not alleviating as many people as you should out of poverty.
You see, the economy is growing but leaving people out. That's now the problem. Inclusivity is now where the challenge is. If the economy is growing, you're putting more buildings, you're putting more roads, and these roads are not being used by the people to create wealth, because the the business policies, like he's saying, are not pro people, then it's growing but at whose benefit? Number two, every political dispensation in the cycles that we have politics would want to appear to be doing well. You can't go and report to the people, by there I'm not doing well as a leader or as economy. So those figures need also to be further interrogated. But there are sectors that are growing. I can see people having buildings everywhere. I can see new roads being done in especially in urban centers. You see them. But are they at the heart of what matters? For example, if you're doing bowl in Karen and you do a bowl in Makueni, for example, the impact. Now that is maybe where the problem is. Maybe the statistics are right, but to whose benefit and to what impact? That is the disconnection I cannot see.
Isn't it just from a layman, forgive the economics of it, a layman's point of view like mine, that when you hear of figures such as this, that the economy is rising, you expect a trickle-down effect to the people?
It should trickle down. For example, I can tell you 202. Yeah, we started from nowhere when the other regime came in. We didn't have motorbike, we didn't have equity, we didn't have Wi-Fi, we didn't have M-Pesa, we didn't have... Look at those things that just came. Okay? So when you said the economy was growing, you could see them. But now you can't see it, unless I'm the one looking at the wrong place. You can't see it that obvious. But sectors just such as communications growing, the social media, the internet, the financial sector using digital finance, you can see that one growing. Of course, creating jobs like even gambling, which is not really a job, it's a sin job. You can say it's growing, going by the revenues we submit in terms of taxes. But what about the general masses, where it matters, our grandmother in the village and all? That's what I would encourage the leadership to look towards that direction and make sure that...
Fair enough. Let me get back to the question of leadership as well, because this question is partly attached to it. Kendi, given that the economy is growing and not with the people, does that mean that those who are in these positions are heart-free of the people?
Well, when he says it's some sectors that are growing, I totally agree on it, because I come from Meru, very deep shacks of Meru, and I can tell you for a fact that if I look way back, like 20 years ago, what was there and what is there now, there's a very big difference. It's like we've gone way back. There's absolutely no development. There's no, the roads are impassable. There's no money that's circulating because we don't attract business to the place. So no one really gets to invest anything in that area. So definitely the people from that area are suffering. And when you say the economy is growing, they look back and say, how is it growing? And it doesn't reach us. I mean, there's absolutely nothing to show that the economy is growing, or even that there's devolved government. We've really never experienced that.
Fair enough. I'll come to Peter, but Joshua, if the economy is growing, the percentages are showing, the amount in terms of capital is as well showing, are we failing in redistributing this amount? There's something I'm sure in economics called wealth redistribution.
Yes, that is the new thinking. Actually, in the business context, when capitalists came, 18th century, the Industrial Revolution, then wealth started being created, then we invented technology. That's when we killed everything. We killed labor, because now many people make tons of cash without relying on human labor. And when they used to employ people like in sweatshops in the early 1912, when people used to work more than 8 hours, until they went to strike and the Labor Day was put as an international Labor Day to where you rest, money was shared because you needed humans who work like machines. Now we need machines who work like people. You see, we are now opposite. And we are doing this at a time where we are almost 10 billion in the world. We are 7.8. We are going to be around 9 the next 50. They need bread, they need to sleep, they need breakfast, they need lunch. And few people due to technology are controlling massive wealth. So it may be growing, but leaving so many out. Now, the business people are trying to respond this way. They invented NGO. NGO is not working because if
non-governmental organizations.
Yes, it's not working because it's supposed to, those who are left out, first of all, they are made victims. And then that already works on your self-perception. Then you pour in cash. Then now they said helping people with fish is not good. They came up with a capacity. When NGOs are now focusing on help them for how to fish. So more money is going to capacity, women empowerment, and things like that to make sure that society can, the rest vulnerable, they call them the orphan and the vulnerable, can take care of themselves. Now, business people thought that NGOs, corporate social responsibility to the NGO is not working. So every company came with a foundation to do the social aspect of their business. Even that is not working because that is what remains at the rich man's table. The story of the Bible, Lazarus can get. So it's the rich man to decide something remains on my table. That one also is not working. So they came with another policy called social enterprise. Now, social enterprise, whereby I do those things that make money but help people out, like M-Copper. So you provide water, you sell it, but water helps everybody get water. Not every company embraces social enterprise because the people who engage social enterprise, your customers don't have money. So most capitalists, they want wealth. Creating wealth is what capitalism is all about. So social enterprise went. Now we want shared value. Now make your company in a way that you share the profits immediately. But it's a model not everyone is buying. So we still have that.
You have talked of almost seemingly everything that is not working. We'll talk of what is working. Peter, let me come to you. In 2010, we promulgated a new constitution that gave us a devolved system of governance.
Yes.
It was perhaps portrayed as though it was a silver bullet to address inequality, to address injustice, and on this economic injustice as well. Has it addressed so far?
Okay, we cannot demonize devolution. It has brought minimal change. Okay, we cannot say entirely that devolution has failed. But on the other hand, we can say it has also enriched many people. That is now the disconnect of what we were expecting.
And these many are the few in the society?
Okay,
or
many as I mean the leadership, the leadership itself. Again, we are going back there. I believe today we are focusing so much there. But what I'm saying is that devolution was meant to reach that person. As I said, as we began here, I say that statistics is about people. It's not just about numbers.
Yes.
It's about people. People who are suffering there, people who are going hungry, people who are going without clothes, people who cannot take their children to school, people who cannot get good services in the hospital. And what we can ask ourselves is, with all this money being allocated to those units, those 47 units, are they really doing exactly what they're supposed to do with the funds that are being allocated? I can say no. Because, as I said again here on this show, I say that only 3 years was needed for someone like Thomas Sankara to bring change in Burkina Faso. Some of the governors are there. This is their second term. They are almost ending. But you find that some hospitals don't have drugs. You find that some people can't take their children to school. You find sometimes even in our country when famine hit, we are also talking about hunger. We are talking about we are looking for food aids. You see, what is that? And I don't think that we can say 8 billion to a county of maybe of people that are less than 800,000. That's a small amount. It's a very huge amount if it is put to the actual intended purpose. I believe it can change the health sector, it can change the education sector. Even though we can see minimal infrastructure, we can see, I believe when you start painting the hospital, people can say we are developing, but you are painting without drugs.
It's an irony, if not a contradiction, as per your words.
Maybe if I can add to what he's saying, that evolution was very good because people felt things were concentrated in the city, in Nairobi. Remember, Nairobi accounts for 56% of the Kenyan GDP.
Yes.
So people felt we should have a governance system that we have many micro-presidents like governors, many people, so that this wealth is distributed. But I cannot say, well, even in Nigeria, when they started devolution, most governors got arrested before they lost it again, because most wealth were going into their pocket.
Corruption allegations.
But if I go to my village today, at least I see some things have improved. Yeah, you can see an hospital that at least something, even though they run out of funds, they run out of salaries, but you can see certain people have put up new even accommodation places. Some things are working. I think the big issue is still the corruption bit of it.
Yes.
If the effort that we see the government is trying is sustained and people get fear that you steal state resources, you will be in trouble. I think we have to be a bit patient, but I think eventually the evolution will work. It may work eventually. So I think the spirit is good, but it has been captured by a few individuals.
Similarly as futuristic as Joshua you sound, let me ask you this futuristic question as well. When the World Economic Forum says, and I quote, the current huge gap between the poor and the rich in Africa will cause enormous economic damage in the future. How?
Simple. If every night the poor are awake because they are hungry, but the rich are also awake because the poor are awake. So it means not pursuing an inclusivity in any system does not help anybody. Even the people who try to segregate eventually suffer from the same system they set. And that is the story of love. Or your brother, which Reverend can tell you. I hope you're Reverend as I say. You have to love thy neighbor. That means if you're happy, I'm also happy. It is that simple. Look at the Middle East. If you go to Dubai, you look at the infrastructure. You see, you say, hey, these people have money. But you know the oil produced by Dubai and Nigeria, 25 million barrels a day, they produce the same level of oil every day, whereas the one from our sister country has gone. So corruption is going to cost us, as that statistic says. It is going to cost us.
You quote the scripture that you should take care of your neighbor. But isn't it the case as well that one neighbor sweats to earn it hard, and another one maybe and just maybe is sleeping?
I believe there's something I was thinking. I was thinking that we should introduce good manners in our politics because we have bad manners, okay? And that's why I'm saying that is that what you have said about love, Because this country, we are saying we are from my Christian perspective, we are saying we are over 70% Christians. They are about, I don't know, I am not good at statistics, my brother will tell me. But we have a very huge percentage of people who profess the faith that I profess in. And that is the faith that says we should take care of our neighbors. And I have many, many scriptures I can quote here, but this show is not about that. But I can point a little bit that Jesus, there's a scripture that says in Luke chapter 2 verse 52. It says that Jesus grew, increasingly grew in wisdom, increasingly grew in stature, increasingly grew in favor with man, and increasingly grew with favor with God. You see, those are 4 areas where if the church or the religious people focuses on, we can bring a very great change. Because those are areas we call it the physical development, the social development, the area of wisdom, and the spiritual development. So that is what we call wholesome growth. Okay, so if we focuses on that from the word go, maybe even in our church setup, also in the political setup, in any other sector, we make that person to grow wholesomely. Okay, I was thinking also about our education policy again, if I can return there. That why is it that because an education should come in our country, in any country, to help that country. If we are not bringing an education system that can help that country, then that education
and you
is
think
not
this partly growth, which will result to a holistic growth, will be a solution in as far as addressing these problems are concerned?
Yes.
You think so?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Kendi, you are the founder of Clean My Neighborhood. You say you do work that someone has been paid to do, but they're not doing it.
Well, I haven't started doing it, but I'm starting a campaign to bring the neighborhoods together to just take care of your space and just create awareness on how to manage the trash and how to dispose it. Because you find people, even in the cars, just throw trash anywhere without really caring or thinking someone will come after cleaning after you, which is really wrong. So I was getting to arrange neighborhoods to just take care of the space, take care of about 3 kilometers of your radius. I mean, all the not only where I live, where you live, where someone else's live, take care of your space without really caring now what the government, what the county is supposed to do. Just take care of your space.
And for someone who pays tax
and
is surely expecting that this should be the role of another person, since they pay, how do you convince such a person that you pay tax, yes, but it's still your responsibility?
Well, it's very hard because as when I started doing this, I said, you know what, I've waited for these people who are paid to do this job to do it, but they're not doing it. But everywhere you drive or walk, it's just litter everywhere, literally everywhere is becoming like a garbage place. And I said, you know what can I do as me at my personal level without looking at, we know, someone is paid to do this job, but they're not doing it. But what can I do to maybe we will change? Because also I think societal values we've lost completely, and I don't know where we missed the lessons. Were they taught in school and there's a generation that missed on those classes? Because we only think of ourselves, we don't think of our neighbors. When you get a chance to be in leadership, you want to grab everything for yourself without really now dispensing the services that you are supposed to do and help the society grow. So these are some of the things that I want to change even in our children.
I think she's right, because responsible citizenship is also lacking among us Kenyans. You can hear the story of the trash. We always think it's somebody else's responsibility. Even sometimes I think we have what we call self-defeating behaviors. We put so much in government also. I think as much as they are bad in their own way, they have their own deficiencies, not really bad. We all as a people, also we have to embrace our new selves in a manner that we be responsible. But as you say, Jesus grew because he personally was a responsible person. He knew exactly what...
So what I'm questioning is the notion that at the end of the day you are paying tax for this tax to be used well and effectively and efficiently. And you're getting back, the person who paid the tax, to do that service.
But you see, let me just intervene a little bit. What she's doing is so tremendous.
Yes.
And if all of us can do the same in every area where we can pinpoint this is where the problem is, I believe we can also start feeling change. Because there's something I think, for instance, where you live. If outside there, if you walk out of your gate and there's trash around there, will you wait for the county government to come and take that trash for you? For instance, also if you're in the workplace and you're saying the government should fight corruption and you're the one doing that corruption, so you're waiting for the corruption for the law agencies to come for you instead for you of you starting to change and introducing good work ethics.
Fair enough. And just on that point, should it be my responsibility as a citizen then that it becomes my behavior to do that, yet I pay tax and the taxes should be in function?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You see, I am happy, but in another way, I'm also sad. I'm also sad because I don't think that's the mindset we should have.
Yeah.
I don't think, because, okay, yes, fair enough, we are giving our taxes. But there are some places we should intervene. We don't have to wait for the government agency. We don't have to wait for the county government. There are some things that we can do, and that's where we should start doing it. Yeah. Because if everyone can do what they are supposed to do wherever they are, that's when we start seeing change. Because, and I was saying, maybe if I can add a little bit about education system, there is a point that went away and I should have spoken about it. An education system should be, an education policy or an education system should come in a country to help us. And I was asking myself when I was coming here, well, if corruption is a problem in this country, for instance, why can't we introduce a course about integrity, about morality? And we examine it, because you see, an education system should address the problems that are in the country. Why should we also, we have somebody who knows all the physics, who knows all the biology, but he's still corrupt? That's the problem we have. Why can't we come up with a way to address that problem? You see?
That seemingly will sound as though there are those who know how to steal. Let's teach people how not to steal.
What?
It sounds as though there are those who know how to steal, so let's teach people how not to steal.
No, not teaching people how not to steal. It's preventive measures. You see, all about the talk in this country is about how we can incarcerate corrupt people, how we can increase their jail term. What about bringing preventive measures? We don't have to reach a place whereby people are corrupt and now we are thinking of how we can arrest them.
On the issue of corruption, there are two causes of corruption which have been researched. Number one, high personal costs. Like if you underpay a police officer and you want him to do a work that is more than what is supposed, the cost of living is very high, even on a minimum scale, and you insist on paying him what you have to pay him. When the personal costs are very high, people tend to be corrupt because you have to bridge the gap. So that's one. Number two is what happens to the people who do it. If nothing happens to them, even the small citizen will say, I saw a big person there, like people giving testimony, I did this because I saw a big person doing the same. That becomes a problem. And the biggest cause of corruption is inefficient systems. If you don't have systems that don't work, so that for them to work, so you have to do something a bit extra. You're already creating corruption. If you say passport is a guarantee for every Kenyan, you apply, you take 2 days, the third day you get it. Who will pay? People say it is free, why do you have to go through your system? So setting deliberate inefficient systems is one of our biggest problems in the country. If systems can be set to work,
fair enough.
Corruption will go down.
An issue that has been attributed, I'll come to you, to inequality in Kenya is partly the tax base as well. The corporate tax dodging is at an all-time high. Kenya is estimated to be losing $1.1 billion to tax evasion, which is the equivalence of, I think, what we had for the health budget in 2015-2016. If all this tax is to be channeled correctly, what kind of an impact will it have?
Oh, okay. Come again with that question. I want to get it right.
The question is, it is estimated that Kenya is losing 1 billion shillings, $1 billion in tax evasion. companies, corporates that are dodging taxes. That amount is the equivalence of what Kenya had for its budget in 2015-2016, the health docket. If this tax is supposed to be used well, what kind of an impact will it have in as far as alleviating poverty and addressing inequality is concerned?
Oh, so the question is on the impact of that amount
Yes.
of money. Okay. So I believe it's, there's a lot we can do with that, but maybe let's also ask ourselves, why are they dodging to pay those taxes? Is it somebody who is in those offices who is abetting such crimes? Okay, because we shouldn't be. There's something we have in this country, that culture of resignation. Things have happened, and we are resigned to it, and it's like and accept and move on. That's the word, accept and move on. But why? Okay, there's someone who is called Elizabeth Warren in America who said that wealth is not trickling down, it's trickling up. In other words, they are taking from everyone who is poor and going up. And so when it reaches those corporate, as you're saying, or companies, why should we not have measures of getting those taxes? Okay, and then you're asking what can be done with that money. I believe is a lot. We have a lot in this country. We need our health system to grow. We need our infrastructures and all that. Our children, most of the people are having it difficult, even with free education. Many people are not even able to afford to take children to their school. And what I was so surprised the other day is that, okay, they are saying they are bringing a law to arrest a parent who is not taking their children to school. But there are some parents after their child completed the school, they were not able to raise about 52,000 to take them to some of the boarding school in the country. So,
fair enough. Before I come to you, Joshua, Kendi wanted to respond to the earlier question.
And I forgot it.
Sorry.
No worries.
What my brother is trying to say, you see, we have a system of a gamekeeper who turns a poacher. So who catches who? The same people who are supposed to make sure the system is working are the same people who are colluding to make sure the system does not work. So it becomes a big problem. The free education.
Shouldn't it not be the responsibility of each corporate that you pay what economic-wise is called the fair share?
It is true, but with an efficient system, I said, the corporate will go to the people who collect taxes and say, why give it when it is going to be stolen? Why not give you? And that's what's the kind of issues that the deals that are cut, and then the system gets self-defeated. On the issue of education that he's saying, that the free education, yes, it is free, but the hidden costs are even more. Maybe they'll make tuition mandatory, you see. Now the same parent, the fee is not there, but the other cost, you are being put through other costs. Retreat, or you wonder children going for retreat, you wonder where they're retreating from. And it becomes more expensive.
It's funny.
Because the hidden costs.
1 minute. It's funny that what he's saying. The other day I had one of our top leaders. I don't like mentioning their names, but he was saying that it's better for a child to go to school and learn under a tree instead of them going out in the street to sniff glue. And I found that is not good. That is because as a good leader, you should say, within the next 10 years, or 5 years, or 3 years, we'll make sure no child of our country can learn under a tree. But don't tell us it's good. Let them learn under a tree instead of them sniffing glue. So you see, it all go back to leadership. It all go back to policy. It all go back,
Systems.
Systems. Okay.
Fair enough. Let me bring Kendi to the discussion. When we talk of inequality, it doesn't operate in a vacuum. It operates within people, and people are either male or female. Let's talk of gender inequality. How much are women suffering from this gender inequality?
Oh, well, a lot. Because I can even speak from the corporate where I was. I mean, I saw that a lot. You're in the same job grade, doing exactly the same job, but the payments, there's a very big difference. Then you wonder, okay, why is that? Why am I paid less, significantly less than my male counterpart, and you're doing exactly the same thing? So it's rampant. I mean, it's everywhere you look in the society anyway. Yeah.
And I think
just before she finishes, when only 6% of Kenyan women can have or have title deeds, that is alarming?
It is alarming, definitely. And also, in the bank, I remember when if you want to apply for like a mortgage, you needed to consent of your husband or things like that. So that prevents even women from just owning their own property. Yeah, and then when there are proceedings for divorce and all that, it becomes very frustrating. And I've seen some even husbands go behind their wives' back and change even the documents. So when it comes to time for separation and dividing things, you end up with absolutely nothing. Yet you put so much into it. Probably you're the one who even bought the land where the house has been put, but you have nothing to show for it. So you end up not even getting that house.
Peter, this sounds as though it is a very manly system, tailored by man to suit him many a times alone.
Okay, I want to support her. I believe that when we talk about gender equality or inequality, okay, one is the opposite of the other. It's not so much of one gender being favored over the other. It's so much of if a woman has the qualification, let her get the pay that the man is getting. If the woman is working hard, let her get the promotion that the man is making. I don't believe in also equality or inequality or whatever we are saying here, of whereby that one gender is being favored. And in the very end, you find that now we wanted to intervene for the girl child, now again the boy child is suffering.
And you're back to the cycle of one side being...
So that's what I believe we should address in this country. And again, I believe also, of course, as she's saying, I don't want to be, I want to support her, that it's like there are many things that we should do in this country. For instance, we have this law of, that has been contested in Parliament for a long time about the third gender rule. And you find that the male counterpart can't just pass that bill. It has stayed for a long time. Yeah?
Even babies can't go to
Joshua, this reminds me of what we were taught in school, partly doing economics as a class or if not two, of job segregation. What kind of a disadvantage does job segregation have in as far as growing the economy or economic growth and its realization is concerned?
We have new models of parenting. Marriages are failing, and the single parenting and single motherhood is a new phenomenon. So I believe more women should now be given chance to economic sustainable means, because you find many women-headed households. I hope the census will reveal there are many single parents where mothers will always take care of their children. So since marriages are failing, I feel more women should be given chance. But if you look at historically, why did men have privileged position? Men got this position because of their physical attributes. Actually, they say women are wiser.
Not because they decided they wanted to have this?
No, the physical strength, even the Bible, he will tell you, is clear, men should provide because you are physically stronger. And if you go even by evolution, men used to run faster, they could catch animals and they would bring home. So they were meant to provide for the women to take care of their siblings so their genealogy could continue. And even in some tribes, men eat the best parts of food still because of that cultural orientation that men were providers. Now, that has been dismantled by two things. Number one, technology. Technology has made means of livelihood very easy. You don't need physical strength to make money. Do you really? You don't. So because technology has demystified that part, then now we find more women are coming to earn even than more men. And therefore men again are suffering, like my brother is saying. So if a woman is earning, your wife can say you are supposed to provide. So the boy child is not even marrying because he can't provide. The woman who can provide can also not marry her because a man should provide him. And this is causing the gender issues you find in relationships having so many problems.
Fair enough, and that's a good point that you have made, but let's stick to the job segregation.
Job segregation.
That women can do this, men can do this. Does that often deter economic growth?
It deters because, for me, I feel because of technology, gender should be equal. Because most jobs, in fact, they are saying every job have 30% automation. Any job in the world now, at least 30% is done by machines or computers or an app or a system. So job segregation should not happen, because most women now can do what men can do very easily. So if it happens, like what she's saying, is by design. Those old masculine perceptions that men are better, are more qualified than women, and which now should be demystified. But if we empower again the women so much as we are doing, we can see now the boy child is starting to be left out. If you go to Uru Park now, who is sleeping there? Mostly you'll find men. So they're also losing out. So we need wisdom in this thing, and bring now men back to. I hope, Kendi, you agree with me. We're also suffering.
I was going to get her thoughts in this.
Yeah, actually, even in school, you can tell something is happening to the boy child.
Yes.
You will find even when they announce positions, top 10 are girls. The boys are lagging. You're wondering what's really going on. Because I think we've forgotten our boy child, for real. There's something that we need to go back to, because we are losing the war again. And then we'll start now all these NGOs to start, boy child and all that.
Fair enough. I hope the boy child is as privileged as the girl child is supposed to be and is. On that note, we are taking another short break here on Newweek. We'll be back after this break with this discussion, plus our reporter Joash Wansare, who is covering the story of the demise of Kikuyu singer Matthew. We'll be back after this break.
Elimu bila shaka ni nguzo maalum katika makuzi ya jamii. Hapa tunaangazia mtaala wa masomo, mitindo tofauti ya masomo, pamoja na changamoto zinazoikumba sekta hii. Elimu, mafunzo, mwongozo, maendeleo, yote haya katika kipindi hiki cha elimu na walimu.
Huu ni mji wa Kitale unaofahamika kwa ghala la chakula kwa taifa la Kenya, mji ambao unapatikana katika kaunti 026, yani kaunti ya Trans Nzoia. Kutoka hapa tutakujuza matukio ya kipekee na kufahamisha matukio hayo kwa ufasaha mkubwa wa aina yake.
Nyanya yetu inaharibikia kwa barabara.
Juzi tumekuwa na mama anataka amejifungua, lakini hakuna pikipiki, hakuna gari yenye inaenda.
Bunge kama ni Bokose, ako wapi? Akikuja aonekani.
Kutoka mji wa Kitale, mimi ni Boniface Barasa na hii ni TV47.
Welcome back to Newweek, and in case you are just joining us now, remember you can be part of this discussion. Tweet us at TV47KE, use the hashtag TV47Newweek, but be part of this discussion. Remember, as earlier promised, we'll be bringing you stories that are of impact and interest to you, the viewer. Our reporter Josh Onsare will be joining us shortly from Gatanga, where it is the rural home of the late singer John De Matthew, a celebrated Kikuyu singer. Will be crossing over there. But first, let's get back to this discussion. Our topic, remember, is debating inequality, the otherwise gap between the rich and the rest. And just to continue this discussion, we'll talk now about income inequality. And then, Joshua, I'd love to pose this question to you. For instance, according to the World Economic Forum, the chief executive officers, the CEOs otherwise, of big companies receive the equivalence of 8 to 9 times of what an average employee in the lower stratum will receive. That we are working for the same organization, yet someone is earning 7 times as high as you are.
Yeah, in the business world, there's a big debate. We call executive compensation. It's a big debate. And why are we paying CEO that money? There's what we call agency problem in business. That means if you work for me, you should think as I think. You should pursue my mission rather than yours. So how do I make you pursue a mission? There are strategies. I can be very harsh on you, or I can put CCTVs or systems that make sure you can't do anything else. Other way is I can pay you so well that you always think about me. So CEOs are paid that much money so that they can worry, sleep, think, work on the entrepreneur's company. This is a bank or is a family business like KCB, for example. So the CEO worries only about the business, the bank only, not anything else. And how about this other guy? Now this other guy who is on the extreme left, they say that his job can be done by anybody. So it's easily dispensable. So that's why you can pay him anything, and since there are no jobs, he has nowhere to go. So the stakes are very high on the upper end than on the lower end. The other reason they pay the CEO that money, these are the things, those who do it, the justification. They say because the weight of the decisions they make and what impact they have on the population.
Despite many a times the decision being made in consultation with their juniors, you have given the economic justification as to why this should be. Let me ask from a religious point of view, you are a pastor, Peter, more than being the co-convener of the Leaders Summit. Should it be morally right that you're paying someone 7 times as their colleagues?
I was thinking now on the other extreme end, because I like thinking sometimes opposite. I was thinking, what if we say that even though that CEO is paid 7 times, what if we start now agitating for also good salary for those that are their juniors, okay? Because if we reduce that salary, will it go to the juniors? That's my question. And the thing is, I was when he was talking about it, I was thinking about the Book of Acts, when there is a point whereby the church, and it's not the government, but the people themselves decided to bring their wealth so that it may be distributed equally to the people. And I believe even as the company, okay, of course it's there for business. It's there for business. It employs the best brains and all that. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's justification whatsoever when somebody is getting over 7 plus figure as salary, when some people are doing with what he only take for lunch. For instance, some people goes for lunch for 10,000 shillings, and that's what you're paying. The money is calling the one on the extreme left. I don't think that.
Fair enough, and let me bring Kendi to this discussion. Kendi, when we have pay disparities as huge as the amounts that we just talked about, does this equally reflect on inequality itself?
Yes, definitely. And the sad bit is even when a corporate is suffering financially, the people who will suffer are the lower. Yes, these others will get their salaries. These people will not most of the time get their salary. Yet the people who do all the work, who brings all the customers to your doorstep, are these people that you're not paying because you're going through some difficult financial time. So it's really it's not fair. There's no justification for that. At least it would be something that is a little fair.
Fair enough. Joshua, in economics, I read a lot about economics, needless to have said that.
Yeah.
There is the debate of the new thinking that then corporate executives should encourage people to buy company stocks at a discount. Is that something that can work?
Encourage employees or?
Yes. The employees in the lower strata that we talked about who get 7 times less than the CEO
to be given
to be buying company stocks at a discount.
I think that is that thinking responds to the problem you have mentioned, that the gap is so huge, so that one of the ways they are thinking of bringing is now bridging it is to make some of these low cadre employees own shares. Actually, in Kenya, the law is 5% of the company should be owned by the employees. So all companies, at least 5% is held by the people who work for the company. The other issue is to buy loyalty, because if by the end of the day you're waiting for dividends as an employee, and it can be anything, then chances are you should work hard to make sure that even though salary is constant, that will be a bigger and a better check for your pay. So it buys their loyalty and it's a win-win. It makes the employees work harder and also makes the owners feel they have matched the interest, the personal interest, which is in every one of us, with the company.
And by buying those shares, by buying those company stocks at a discounted price, will it have any significance in the financial freedom of an individual?
Yeah, because at least you see there's the part of your salary which you spend the way you want, so they still have their financial freedom, and also the freedom will come in a way that you have now more money to spend. You can afford more luxuries or more trips or more holidays. So in a way it helps to improve financial freedom in terms of what you can spend on yourself, which we call disposable income. Yeah.
Fair enough. In the circles of economics as well, there is a lot of talk about the 4th industrial revolution, that machines are coming to do the work of man.
Yes.
Otherwise wiping up man from these offices, from the positions they hold. Should society be scared of that?
I believe very, because at the end of the day, I was also asking myself, how are we prepared also as a nation for such eventuality? Because there are jobs that we know right now that in 10 years' time will be redundant. Those jobs will no longer be there because the machines are taking them over. What kind of measures are we taking to be able to, because there will be a lot of depression. Right now, as we are speaking in this country, I read the paper the other day about, is it about 5 companies that are laying off their workers?
Yes.
And
shrinking workforce.
Workforce, shrinking of workforce. And you see, this is something that we continue over and over again as machines take up the jobs. So one thing, even from a religious perspective, that's something that is scary, very scary, because what will we do with our members that are jobless? And if you see, change is inevitable. There's nothing we can do about technology. We cannot say that. For instance, I remember there is a time there were the tea picking machine that was supposed to be brought in the country, and one of the trade union leader was stopping it. You see, that thing will not, how can you sustain such kind of resistance to the rise of technology? At the end of the day, we'll have to give in and allow technology to come. But then, what will we do with those people that will be without employment? It means they will not have food on the table. It means they will not be paying their rent. It means we'll have a social revolution. It means that the youth, when they become so depressed and all that, will be rise of crime. So there's a lot of problems that are lining up for our country. And what are the leaders doing? Instead, what we are seeing all over the country is people talking about 2022. When you have real issues that people are facing, like what you are saying right now, that's a threat that is coming to our nation.
And let me pose that question to Kendi. Kendi, then, is our politics failing to meet the obligations of the people?
Oh, yes, definitely. And I wanted to comment on that. The new system, I think it's preparing us somehow for the Industrial Revolution in such a way that you're taught not to wait to be employed. Like my daughter is in grade 2. I saw the kind of homework that he brought. One of the assignments was come up with a business idea that you can implement in your class to make some money and describe how you're going to do it.
And without mentioning the name of your daughter, if you want to, how old is she?
She's 7.
7, and she's already told to come up with a business
plan. Yes. and how you come and how you can implement it in class, and how you're going to make money out of it. I thought that is very revolutionary, because when did we start learning how to do business? When you're out, you don't have a job, now you start panicking. What do? I can't be employed. I need to come up with a business idea. I have no idea how to go about it. So you just go asking. But now you're prepared to think ahead. What can I do to sort myself out without expecting to be employed?
Fair enough. Joshua, if the fourth industrial revolution is coming to replace man from his jobs, are we staring of a bigger inequality gap?
Massive. In fact, technology is an enabler, but in that aspect, people are fearing. And this will coming at a time when we are almost 9 billion, you can imagine. They call it the Internet of Things. The connectivity, seamless connectivity across the board. I'm happy what Kendi is bringing. The education is responding by now bringing out the best in everybody, so that you don't be the standardization training for jobs, which was the education model we have, which is the 18th century model, to create an employee to work in an assembly line, has failed because it standardizes everybody. If you can't pass mathematics the way the standards are set, you're a loser. And it planted in many young people, and they feel if you can't go to university, you're a loser. It doesn't mean that way. So I'm happy what your daughter is being taught. And the age of 7 is the age of reason. In fact, they say anything you learn before 7 will appear later to be effortless in your life. Even if you are taught money before you're 7, you will not have problem with money. If your poverty is put in you before you're 7, you will always have struggles with money. So that is a very right age to do that. So and also what you're saying, technology is bringing disruptions, but technology can also create jobs. In fact, the new thinking is that these machines will also pay taxes, so that per machine the government should earn tax per the money they make, because they are replacing human labor. So and that's taxes should now be used
for purpose of curiosity. How do you count the number of hours, for instance, this machine has worked?
Okay, entrepreneurs love machines because they don't go home like you have to go home. They don't have family, no insurance, no health care. They don't have wires. They have to sleep 8 hours. Those things are not there. They make money 24 hours. So you can feel the love the investors have for technology. So this gap is now the biggest worry, because how are you going to run a sustainable society? Because even the UN is now going to put a new ambassador for climate change, an office like UNDP. They also think of putting one for artificial technology related, because these things are affecting everybody in a massive way. So you'll have a new UN agency for just technology, climate change, these new emerging trends that are going to disrupt society. So in your response to your question, maybe what is the new thinking? If these machines pay taxes, make money for entrepreneurs, then these taxes are shared back in the societies to provide for like minimum wage, which is a big debate, taking out the old, orphan, widows, and vulnerable, so that even if you don't have to work, your earnings should not now be tied to your working, because machines
and if working. These machines are working at the expense of replacing people, are we becoming heartless by the tick of the clock?
We are behaving like machines already. You've seen people who have lost the common touch, like love, friendship. Like if you find people fighting today, what will you do first? You take a photo, then you post, then you say, what is the problem? So it's affecting us in a very fundamental way.
I was thinking maybe Joshua can tell us. One machine is replacing maybe hundreds or even in some instances, like maybe in car assemblies plants or in big manufacturing companies, it is replacing a very huge workforce. So when we say that it will still create jobs, okay, will it create equally to those 10,000 people that are being laid off? You see, there will be a very big gap of unemployment, and that's what maybe you can...
Maybe if you allow me to respond to that, it is very true. Facebook serves over 2 billion people a day. It has less than 10,000 employees. Let's come home. M-Shwari. Safaricom has over 30 million people, subscribers. If M-Shwari you would do Fuliza or whatever, physical application, peleka form, kwa hiyo fizi, queue up, where's your file, how many people would work? Everybody in Kenya would be employed by M-Pesa alone. Look at this.
And no one is questioning the smoothening of processes. What we are questioning is the smoothening of these processes is coming at the expense
of the people,
of someone sleeping hungry.
Yes, so the economy, they say the capitalism of the economy has a ways of creating other jobs, like gambling. You see now, these are jobs which are responding now to the problem that people don't have enough work. And then the problem, this kind of jobs, they affect now your personal well-being and your personal identity. You can't do any physical work, which really brick and mortar that builds the economy. So it is still at stage where the debate is going on. A lot of debate is going on. Are machines here for good, or they are here for bad? There are people on the one side, like the Millennium Bug. There are people on the other side. So the debate is going on.
Because I was thinking, just a little bit, I was thinking, like her daughter is doing a very fine when they are teaching about starting a business and all that. But you see, all of them will not be starting a business.
Yes.
At one point, you cannot all be in business and then maybe talk about making profitability. Yeah. Some people will be in business, some people will be employed. So as he's saying, I like the word, a word he has been using over and over, Joshua has been using here, disruption. We have to agree that it will disrupt a lot of things in our country, and we should be prepared for that. Just away from maybe teaching our daughters about starting a business and all that, we should also, also starting a business involve also funds. It involves a lot of about research, and also all that also means about resource allocation and all that. So that's why I'm saying we should be prepared for that. That's my word.
The preparation, of course, and we'll discuss what that preparation includes. Is it preparing to resist the fourth revolution or adapting?
we cannot resist.
Okay. Kendi, we are at a time, the last 2 weeks and the continuous 2 weeks to come, will be at a time when big corporates in the company will be releasing their half-year results. And every time, as a journalist, I look at those numbers. You see profit is up by 10%, profit is up by 5% to the tune of 23 billion, be it KCB or be it any other corporate. When we hear of companies making these billions of shillings, yet those billions are not reflected on the people either who work for them or the people who otherwise they should be having a responsibility on. Is there a disconnect?
Yes, there is definitely a very big disconnect. Like I'll still refer to the corporate because I was there, and I saw sometimes that the bonuses that were given at the end of the year according to how you performed, but you found even the allocation that's given for bonus goes. Most of it will go to the and very little that's left to trickle down to the rest of the people. So that's still what happens with the big profits that we announce. It doesn't trickle down to the people who actually brought that money.
Fair enough. I still understand we have, if not close to more than 10 minutes to discuss this topic. But first, I'm also informed that our reporter Joash Onsare is on standby from Gatanga. Remember, this is in relation to the sudden demise of Kikuyu singer John De Matthew, who is well known in as far as the Kikuyu dialect is concerned, a man celebrated in that region and across the country as well. Joash, if you can hear me, a very good morning from Gatanga. What is the mood like this morning there?
Okay, good morning, Abubakar Abdullahi. I'm getting you clearly here at Gatanga, home to the late John De Matthew, who is a secular artist in Kenya, and he is well known for his music, the music that has touched many Kenyans. And I will be joined by his wife so that we can be able to get a highlight. It's very cold over here, but a lot of things are happening. It's a somber mood that is taking place over here. Unaweza kukaribia hapa mama ili uweze kuzungumza na sisi. Tuambie jina na vile vile tuambie John De Matthew, umekaa na yeye, unamjua ni mtu aina gani?
Kwa majina naitwa Caroline Mwipira Piro. Mwangi alikuwa bwana yangu. Tulikuwa na watoto wawili na yeye, Tyrese and Matthew. Na tumeishi na yeye miaka 7.
Labda uweze kutuambia kwa kiufupi tu, amekuwa mtu wa msaada upya so kwako na vile vile kwa jamii.
John amekuwa a family man kwa sababu from Monday to Friday he has been bonding with me and the kids, and weekends ndio walikuwa tu anaenda kazi.
Na labda mulikuwa na yeye jana yote ama ni taarifa ulizipata mwendo wa saa ngapi?
Tulikuwa na yeye toka asubuhi. Saturday alikuwa kazini, anakujanga around 4 am. Nikamfungulia gate, kampea sapa. Na saa tukaenda church, venye tulitoka church ndivyo akaniambia nataka kukula lunch, nikamtayarishia lunch, akaenda, alikuwa anaenda Harambee Pika. After that nikitayarisha sapa around 7, nikampigia simu, akakuwa yuko mteja, nikapigia dereva wake simu, ndivyo aliniambia John amepata ajali kidogo na yuko Vikanasi. Nikachukua gari yangu nikakimbia Vikanasi, nikapata John amefariki.
Pole sana na Mungu aweze kumlaza mahali pema peponi na Mungu yuko na nyinyi. Abubakar, that is the situation that is at this particular place. This is Gatanga, and people are coming in to be with the family members, friends. They are just here to be with the family to ensure that there is that particular warmth that is needed, especially at this particular time. Back to you, Abubakar.
Well, many thanks our reporter Joash Onsare, who is reporting to us live from Gatanga. Remember, he's following up of the story of the sudden demise of John De Matthew, a singer celebrated not just in Central, but across the country. Perhaps I should pose my audience a question as well in relation to that. Any of you who he was his favorite in this?
Okay, it was not a favorite per se because he's secular, and I'm a fan of
the gospel
songs. But I have heard about his music. I had a prophetic touch. He used to speak things that some of the things he would want the community. He would speak about social issues, social problems. And so it was sad for me when I heard that he died. It came as a shock to me. And I want to pass my condolences to that family. And I ask God that he may comfort them at this time.
Fair enough, and our thoughts are with the family at this trying moment. Just a reminder that John De Matthew died in a road accident last night. Our reporter Joash Onsare will be updating us of the latest in as far as the family speaking to the media, or else even the people whom he had so much love for in Gatanga are concerned. Let's continue with this studio discussion. I believe I'm being told we have 10 minutes to go. The finals of probably our question. If then the Industrial Revolution is coming at a pace that we can literally see it as though it is running to catch up with man, what are the preparations that man should put in place to adapt to this Industrial Revolution? Joshua.
The fourth Industrial Revolution. One, education, like Kendi has put it very correctly, that the education system should bring out what people can do. If you bring out what you are best in, then you connect to the technology that will be available for that, then everybody will have something to do. The other issue is in the business sector is shared value. Shared value means the big money you're mentioning. On whose hands does it go? It goes to the shareholders, those who own the company. But is there a way that that money can go to everybody else? Of course, they pay taxes. They also, where should the taxes go? The government should come with policies. Their taxes are employed in things that matter. In things that matter to the citizens, like housing, healthcare, education, minimum guarantees, which
and
will
for
make
these
everybody.
for these big corporates that are making billions of shillings, billions of dollars, more than the CSR, more than the tax, what else should they do?
They should also embrace this concept of social enterprise, invest in areas that really matter to the people. Like if you want to eliminate darkness all over the country, if you put a plant like to process mangoes that goes to waste in Meru, for example, or have dried crisps from fruits, because even we say in Africa over 50% of fruits are wasted after harvest because they never get consumed. Post-harvest wastage is very huge. Why don't we have investment in these areas that really matter to the people, so that even if the few entrepreneurs will control the economy because of technology, but with the money they make as a way of improving everybody's lives, that is the crack, the catch that if the government and the policymakers can crack, or new models of social development of NGO, new models that enhance capacity than feeding people with giving fish instead of teaching how to fish. Those are the new models we should think about. And love thy neighbor. People should share more. If you have, if you have an extra shirt to take care of, educate somebody, I think we will be happy, all of us. But nobody will be happy if we leave some people out. Eventually, systems that are win-lose don't work.
Fair enough. And Kendi, what will it take the country or even the globe, at a global perspective, to have everyone tagged along as everyone rises?
Actually, I was thinking, we have so many problems that we need to come up with ideas that solve some of the problems. Like this issue of garbage collection really eats into my head. Every time I drive anywhere in the country, I mean, I can't fail to see the papers everywhere. And I've wondered what can I do to pick them at a go? Like what innovation can I come up with that will take care of that, like in a very short time, without people going physically to pick one by one. You get thinking on that line. There's this problem in our society. What can I come up with to solve this problem?
At an individual level?
Individual, corporate, everywhere.
Fair enough, Peter?
Oh, okay, I was thinking, I had my thoughts on the profits, the super profits. I was thinking, there is a time, okay, I'm active in social media, and there is a time I call them pornographic profits. You know, in a way that, you know why I'm saying that? How did they arrive to posting such kind of profits? I don't want to belabor hard work. It's good to be hardworking, to have good strategies and all that. What if they are making the profits at the expense of their customers? They are overcharging maybe some services, you see? What is the government doing to intervene in such situations? So I always like looking it on different perspective. I don't think that this country, we should be clapping our hands when maybe the most profitable company is making 10 times the next company that follows it, you see. That is pornographic. It's something that we should be doing some intervention. Not so much
but to a corporate whose interest is profit.
Yeah, it's profit, but maybe they are taking advantage of their customers. You see, maybe the withdrawal fee, the sending fee of that money and all that is too much oppressive, the data charges and all that. So we cannot at times just see it and clap our hands that is because of hard work.
If I can comment, just 1 minute. There are new models of business are now worried about sustainability, not profit. How do we keep on doing this for a long time?
There's interest in profit, of course.
Yes. So there are three aspects: people, planet, and profit. So the profit element has been for over years. Now they are thinking, how about what are you doing at the expense of the people, or are you doing it at the expense of the planet? So a new model, people, planet, profit, is more sustainable.
And one last question, probably, with the growing climate change skepticism. What responsibility do these corporates have?
They have to make sure that the climate, that they are doing their work, they're pursuing their profit, not at the expense of the planet. Because planet owns all of us. And some people are saying, if we behave as human beings, we are the ones who will be forced to exit. All the other forms of life will evolve into other ways that are adaptable. Even we may change the way we look with the time, if the climate cannot sustain the way we look. You know, we walk like two because of force of gravity. That's why you are attached to the ground. So if some things change, we may change and we exit the world. We have to be very careful.
I understand we are out of time, but since it is ladies first, let it be ladies last today as well. Kendi, you are the founder of Clean My Neighborhood. For someone who is wondering, probably, just as lay as it may look, as simple as this question may sound, why should I clean my neighborhood?
Oh my God, I mean, you should enjoy living in a clean neighborhood. It feels good to just look around and all you're seeing is green grass and all that, and not papers and plastics, yet they were burnt there like 2 years ago, but they are everywhere. And again, look at the damage you're doing to our oceans, or even to fish, and we consume at the end of the day. I mean, it's affecting us in in a very big way without us really realizing. Me throwing this paper today will end up somewhere else and it will affect my health and it's affecting the climate.
Many thanks, Kendi Kamanja, who is the founder, Clean My Neighborhood. To my immediate right is Joshua Okello, a lecturer at Daystar, also an economist. Peter Kamodho, the co-convener of Summer Leaders Summit. Ladies and gentlemen, many thanks for making time for us this morning. Well, that brings us to the end of today's edition of Newweek. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. But remember, Matukio Nyanjani is up next with Clifford Ndubi. Stay tuned and enjoy the rest of your viewership.